Hi, I'm Tyler. This is my co-host Brad, and today we're debunking the "That's not a good spell. I never take that spell."
But that's true, Tyler. That is a bad spell.
It is not true. It is not true. That's what we're debunking today.
Right.
I sent you an email about it.
Oops.
I need you on my side, man.
Spam.
Change of plans. Today we're having a debate.
On which spells are... No, we're not kidding.
I am all spells are valuable and awesome.
You're right. Okay. In all seriousness, though,
we agree on this.
I actually
We
agree
do
with
agree
that.
with this.
Under the right circumstances, any spell could be good, right?
It's like trying to answer the question, who is the perfect employee? And the fact is that there isn't
isn't always me, Tyler? Aren't I the perfect employee?
Brad, how long has it been since you worked for someone and not yourself?
Hey. Nothing wrong with being an entrepreneur, okay?
Entrepreneurs are great.
Because I only have to like myself. There's only one person to impress. Me, myself, and I.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it doesn't matter where you've gotten a job before. Everybody,
but you're right on this
point. Everybody knows the perfect employee depends on the job.
Right.
If it's a very physical job, you probably need someone that can handle lifting boxes all day.
Right. So the point is, when you're picking spells, right, there's lots of videos and things out there. I'm not dogging any people out there this video because they are really good. And I certainly will like to say I have used many of other people's videos because they're very useful.
Yeah.
But in general, I would say if you're a brand new player or you're an experienced player and you're picking spells, or maybe you're picking up Pathfinder or picking up D&D 5th edition for the first time or something like that, right? You know, and you say, well, I'm the wizard or I'm the cleric. You're like, wow, that's a lot of spells here. What do I get? You know, and Tasha's Cauldron just came out, right? And so there's lots of new spells in there too, right? It's like, well, how do you know which ones to pick, which ones are good, which ones are bad? And like as we're kind of saying, right, there is like I'm not saying there's really any bad spell, right? Maybe some spells are better than others, but really what makes, I would say, when people say it's a bad spell is because they say, well, I know they can't see a time when that's actually useful.
Exactly.
And that's what I say, well, as you're kind of saying to your point, right? Well, just kind of the best spell is the one that fits the job at the moment, right? And so, again, I guess we want to talk about, right? Just kind of some ideas or principles to follow to help you pick spells well for your game.
Absolutely. And watching some of those, here's the tier for these different spells, or here are the spells that I would say you should take always, like as a wizard or a cleric. Sometimes the stuff I disagree with is whenever they say, never get this spell, it's not useful. And it's like, that's not true. Every time they say, get this spell, I think the spell is awesome. I always actually agree with that. I just don't agree with any of the dogging on any of the other spells sort of thing. I've actually been really surprised with playing a full caster, the use or the utility that we found in some of these spells that a lot of people just online said, oh, this is useless.
Well, and I would say too, so kind of coming down to it, right? It kind of makes sense, what I think we should identify first is what's your role in your group and your party, right? Are you the guy that's supposed to do damage with your spells? Is that what you want to do, right? Then there probably is a certain list of spells that probably aren't very good for you but that's not what you're trying to go for, right? You're trying to be the blasty guy. You're trying to be the guy that slings the fireballs and does the damage with them, right? Or you want to be the guy that throws, Eldritch Blast all day long and does really good with it.
Which is a cantrip, so that's easy.
That makes it
done.
Easy. Although I will have to say, there are some really neat invocations that actually make it really fun to use Eldritch Blast.
Oh, yeah.
Like pushing people, pulling people.
Yeah.
Like it actually makes it cool. I actually have to give props to that. I would normally say that could be kind of a boring thing to do. However, it was actually really fun in that one shot we did.
We should talk about...
I enjoyed that. I was pushing people off rooftops. I was pulling people into pits. It was great. Anyways, sorry. But know your role, right? And find the best spells that fit the situations that your role is going to encounter a lot, right? And along with that, I would say know your campaign and your party, right?
Totally, yeah. Have like know your niche or whatever. But yeah, it's a synergy. So if you've got a guy that's like way into being the carry or you would say the striker, right? So somebody that goes up and they're in the face of the big thing, maybe area effect spells and like, get out of the way, I want to cast fireball.
Right, can be really bad.
What are you doing? I got to do semantic static
if you have a horrible dexterity, right, and you can't go first in every combat, you're probably not going to get your fireball off that well all the time, right?
Yeah. And so, you have to be nimble to your party dynamic. That's a great first principle to kind of like think about. What's your role? Do I need to be buffing a lot? Like, should I even bother with healing spells? Like, there's a series of things to kind of adhere to that automatically, just out the gate, debunks the idea of, oh, here are the useful spells, here are the not useful spells, never bother with these. Obviously, that's wrong. There are going to be spells that are on the not useful list that are going to be very useful, depending on your dynamic with your party.
Well, and I would even say some spells that, I've looked at different lists, and sometimes people say, oh, this spell's like useless, you should never get it. Or it's so situational that doesn't come up too often. But again, it just comes back to your game, because maybe your game is all about that situation. And I think everybody say, well, of course I get this spell in that situation. But I'd even say that oftentimes I feel like sometimes certain situations actually come up more often in games than what you may think.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, a good example, right? Like when I was a wizard, and you're now doing now with your cleric, right?
Yeah.
But man, the fabricate spell, I love that spell.
Such a good spell.
It's like I got a bunch of diamonds, and there are just no raw diamonds. It's like, oh man, I gotta make diamond dust.
Right.
Fabricate.
Done.
I made a hotel out of demi-planes of fabricate. It was great.
It's awesome.
Hey, we got a camp here tonight, guys. Don't worry, guys. I got a demi-plane, and I got a hotel inside. Complete with ale and everything.
Right, and
Got your own bedroom. It's safe.
We're about to leave a village that just got devastated by a storm, and make some temporary housing. Just
That's right.
Fabricate. Done.
Build a new wall. Fabricate.
Well,
right?
and you bring up a good point. So a wizard has to be a little bit more committal to the spells they get, but the upside to them is that they get a lot more spells.
Correct.
And
they have a very versatile spell list to pick from, which arguably can make it harder to pick the right spells.
Right.
And so you definitely should be more cognizant of what is your group doing, what is your game like, right? To make sure that you can get the spells that fill those roles
definitely
really well, right?
Yeah. Well, and opportunities that create like good teamwork and that good synergy. Like, so your party's tactics can vary from, session to session.
Sure.
But you might have a general tactic to kind of think about. And if we're saying a wizard, you might try to figure out what that theme is for the campaign and figure out what your party's general response to threats and things are, so you can plan your spells accordingly. Do you have a very sneaky party that's dripping in charisma? They want to talk to everything. They would rather talk to the blue dragon than just try to kill it.
Right.
Or are they the super sneaky? They want to just like rob the blue dragon and get away alive. Those are two very different dynamics to kind of think about.
For sure.
Yeah, as a caster. And then
and then are you complementing what the different party strategies are, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I think any spellcaster could accommodate either one. Just fine, right?
Yeah.
But it's good to know which one are you commenting, because nobody. I mean, we're gonna sneak in like, well, I want to throw my fireball, guys, because I picked it up, right? Or I really want to throw out my spirit guardians because it's a great spell, guys. Everybody said to get it, which it is fun when you lay it out. It's good, but if that's not the strategy your party follows in combat or in fights or encounters, as I should say, then it may not get as much use. It may be one of those less good spells for that game, right?
Yeah, it's so true. And I think that might be a little bit of what people are running into, and why they would define a spell as not good is because the campaigns they play are a little bit different. So that can be 100% true for them while overall being false.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and some things to keep in mind when picking your spells are the 3 pillars of D&D.
Right.
Combat, exploration, and social. Where are you in your campaign? A lot of spellcasters have mechanics where they can recreate their spell lists. Like warlocks, it's every time they level up, or bards, I think, are the same mechanic.
Druids, clerks, every day, right?
Every day as a druid or cleric, yeah, which is so fun because you don't have to commit to anything. You're just essentially
didn't work out last time.
Very
do it again, right?
Promiscuous, You're like,
although
hey, I don't want a relationship with you, but you're good enough to hang out with for a day spell. Whereas wizard, you pick it, you got it forever.
That's right. Although it gives you the advantage, though, with the clerk or the druid, right? They say, well, today I really need this today, and I'm going to do it, right? And you can get away with that and do that.
Yeah.
And that is neat.
It is super cool. It's a super cool.
But it means you got to be super aware of what's going on.
Yeah. And other times it's when you level up and whatever. But every class kind of has a mechanic. And wizards, you can discover scrolls, or you can do research and discover spells in books potentially, or other things, depending on your DM, like his or her willingness to work with you on that sort of stuff.
I got a spellbook once as a wizard. It was great.
Well,
I had lots of spells.
You had to kill a lich to get it unlocked, though. So you had the
That's
book,
true.
but it wouldn't open until he was dead.
It was probably my favorite item I think I got in the whole game.
Dude, it had like up to level
Everything.
9 freaking spells.
Everything.
It was nuts.
It was a lot of money.
I had fun putting it together.
It cost me a lot of money. It was a great thing to spend my money on.
A lot of money in pages, yeah.
Copying those into my own spellbook. That was great.
Downtime.
Downtime. There we go.
A lot of that.
What are you doing this downtime, Brad? I'm copying spells in my spellbook. That's it? Yes. It takes you how long to do that? Yeah, I know, but it's so worth it, guys.
It's going to be a really cool spell.
Really cool,
it
guys.
puts their soul in a jar.
It's great.
But yeah, I mean, okay, so here's a spell that I've heard just take a lot of crap online and stuff, and that's sending.
Yeah, I know.
And we got into a situation where the party was split because 2 of us had been abducted.
That's right.
And sending...
No idea where they're at. On the opposite sides of the map, guys.
Yeah.
It was It's not like you can just go, track him, right?
Yeah. And, so luckily our bard picked up sending, and he just started, just sent to us.
Get
He was
the
like,
walkie-talkie.
hey, where are you? And we were like... Well, shoot, we're like here. And they were like, okay, where do we get down?
You're not here. You're not here.
And then they came and found us. They came and found us.
It's
and without sending, that was like impossible.
And, at least when I DM, right, I don't necessarily think about what's the solution to the problem. I just like to throw problems at the group and just let them see if they can figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I knew you guys had sending the time.
No, you mentioned that at the table.
And I was like,
oh, that's great. Because I was sitting here going, I don't know how
they're going to fight each other. This will take forever, guys.
Well,
good luck.
As a DM, if you are trying to just think about, let me make sure I give them problems that I know they can solve because they love these spells, that can be okay. But I do think that it's a little bit similar to having a guitar and you play, G, E, A, G, E, A, G, E, A, D. And it's like, there's so much more on the guitar to play.
I don't play the guitar, but I do play. But I would say it's like playing a one-note symphony, right? It doesn't work.
Yes.
It's
I mean, it works, but it's also less interesting.
Sure.
I think that as a DM, like he was saying, you create your scenarios, but don't necessarily try to figure out exactly here are the 3 ways you can solve it. Just instead, spells are a huge part of D&D, and allowing people to just sort of flex those and think through and reason through this problem solving, it can be incredibly rewarding.
And it's definitely find new ways that you can have that teamwork with those spells too, right? If you only ever get the most optimal spells, quote unquote, every time, it's like, well, you guys are all playing like the same one-trick pony game to game. And that, personally, I think that can get actually really boring, honestly. If I play the exact same, like, I'm a druid, I'm a wizard, it doesn't matter because I have the same kind of spells anyway, right? That just... Yeah. Again, I think I would get bored. It's like, well, what's the difference between a druid and a wizard? They do the same thing. It's like, well, no, you can play them drastically different just off their own spell list, right? Mm-hmm. Not even take account something like wild shape and stuff like that. But
sure.
But yeah, I mean, but then even too, just synergizing with other people in the party, like, well, I got this spell, and you got this spell, man, together, like they could. Well, you think like clairvoyance, right? One person could put up to see, another person could put up to hear. Now you can see and hear inside on the other side of the door. That's great.
That's useful. There's a light side and a dark side to that. Like when you have a party that's a one-trick pony, as a DM, you can counter. And that a lot of people think of as like the dark side of being a DM. That's like the malicious, like, oh, you just did that because you know that I always do this. And I always do fireball, and you just threw something at me that's fire, immune to fire. But I mean, okay, so as a DM, I did do this, and you were like, that was actually really interesting, really fun. I created this creature that was surrounded by an anti-magic field, and his wizard had trouble figuring out how to
It got down to like a slap fight. Well, I can't do anything. I can't swing. I had no weapons. I never needed them.
But in the end, it's like, so maybe part of it just depends on like
the player, I guess, to a degree.
Yeah.
But if you're a player that's just going to hit your DM for that, you need to shape up, man.
Well, and the light side of it is like a DM shouldn't just counter, but it should be like, you should be running into different problems like constantly. You shouldn't be able to handle two, we can say essentially two combats exactly the same.
Right.
If you're doing that, then maybe you need to add a little bit more depth or breadth to your combats to make them a little bit more puzzle.
Well, and I would counter to a degree. I mean, we did this in your game, right? We were fighting this red dragon, and we had to go. Right. We didn't do we couldn't beat him the first time. We ran.
Right.
We had to do him again the second time. But assuming that your same strategy will work, which I know at the time half our group thought that, but will work the second time going. It's like, okay, red. I mean, long story short, I guess.
Long story short.
The monsters are smart, right?
Right.
Okay. They're not. I mean, as long as it doesn't have like an intelligence like 2 or 3, right? Yeah. It's gonna learn if you're fighting the same thing twice. If it's a recurring villain in your game, right? They probably will learn from what you're doing. So to sit there and say, well, it worked last time, now why is it resistant to fire? Why is it the counter this? It's like, well, any intelligent villain will probably figure out ways to beat you up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you got to at the same time and again as a spellcaster, I think you have the most flexibility to change it up and figure out a new way or better way to do it going on.
Yes.
Rather than just saying I'm going to throw out the same fireball, the same wall of stone, or the same wall of force, or I'm going to always put the same illusion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think outside the box with things to as the game evolves, right? Your characters evolve, your spells evolve, you get new spell levels, like you should change with it.
I absolutely agree. And in that fight in particular, y'all should know about this. This is pretty funny. He had got an animate object, and so he had just like a bag full of daggers and knives and swords and crap, and he was animating them all out.
I know, which I think this will work great because
dragons don't everything.
Dragons don't have don't require magic weapons to hit. It's like sure, a bunch of little daggers animated will just rip this thing apart. This will be easy.
So this dragon made an alliance with Imix, an elemental god,
right,
and demigod or whatever, and
fire aura.
So he got a fire aura. So
he
had 5 foot of fire aura. So all his daggers come in and they just melted after a round. And so you were like, that's not gonna work. but as a good player, you rolled with it.
All right.
And did illusory dragon. You focused more on the ads, and other people were able to focus on the dragon, and so you guys were able to pivot off of that. So it's actually really rewarding as a spellcaster too, to get stretched in that way. So it's a synergy when the DM requires that kind of stretching, then it gives you that opportunity as a player to care more, think more, do a little bit more digging about your spells and what will work for different circumstances.
I mean, it's like be like Batman, guys. I mean, Batman always has
a great analogy.
He always has something in his tool belt to solve the problem, right?
Yep.
And he uses smoke bombs a lot, but he doesn't only have smoke bombs. He's got everything he needs. And when he encounters a situation, it wasn't maybe you think he's ready for. It's okay. He's got the perfect tool for the job to solve it.
Okay. Hey, let's test the theory here. I'm pretty sure that, I could be wrong about this, but they say on the internet, when you degrade the conversation to like bring up Hitler, you've lost the argument. I submit that when you bring up Batman, when you're comparing your argument to Batman, you win. It's an auto win.
It's auto win.
So let's see if that's true. Oh, 14. That's not terrible.
Well,
that's not terrible. Yeah. And a 5.
All right. I guess you're right.
Batman wins.
Batman wins, guys. It's the way it is. That's why we all like Batman, right?
Solving the real issues here on Motley Mimic.
That's right. We're tackling the hard subjects.
The internet's deepest questions.
We got it. We got it solved for you right here. Just tune in next week, right?
But I mean, and if you're paying attention to not only what's coming up next session, but what's the theme of the campaign? If you're dealing with a lot of undead stuff, or if you're playing Strahd versus you're fighting giants versus you're fighting dragons, or versus you're in a city doing a lot of espionage and intrigue and stuff like
a political intrigue campaign, right? Mm-hmm. You're talking to nobles and stuff all day long, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe your biggest skirmish is a fight with the guards, right?
Yeah.
Again, I mean, in that case, charm spells could be really good. Charm spells, you might say, well, it's not as good, but hey.
Yeah.
But even then, too, outside of maybe lots of social interactions, maybe there's other ways you could beat the encounter rather than just deciding to swing the sword and throw the fireball, right? You can say, well, dude, what if we charmed the monster to get past it, right?
Right.
Okay, that's a very viable and neat strategy that maybe you weren't thinking about that could work.
Yeah. and finding those moments are really awesome. I had this ability to do a wind geyser. This was Pathfinder.
Oh yeah,
and
this is so great.
We're on this flying ship, and there was these assassins, all these dudes boarding us, and they started attacking us and stuff. And this dude hit me for a lot. Like I was like, one more hit, I was gonna die. And so I air geysered him. Like I turned to the DM and I was like, "About how fast are we going?" And you were like, "I don't know,
like 120 feet around or something like that, right?
Like
we're cruising
pretty fast." And I was like, "Okay, so I'm gonna cast geyser right underneath him." He blows up, and you're like, "That is the best." So he blows up and
flies off.
He's gone.
Gone. Big guy gone. That was it. He failed the save, and that beat the encounter, right? Like good to go.
I mean, under normal circumstances, you
say air geyser's like a useless
spell. You're like, oh, I'm gonna shoot him straight up. He's gonna land, take maybe falling damage if he doesn't pass his dex save or something. But in that situation, it was perfect.
That's right.
It was beyond perfect. It was really, really great.
It was really good.
Yeah.
And I think I would say, in campaigns, there's all kinds of great things that you can do like that. And sometimes I think, we restrict ourselves too much by saying, well, I'm going to get these spells because that's what everybody says is really good.
Yeah.
And I think we could, stretch our imaginations a little bit and just think of really neat new ways we could use other spells. We just, put a little thought into it and kind of thought, hey, what opportunities are in this game that could actually make this a really neat spell? Or what opportunities I have with my own party that could make this spell more effective than what other people are probably saying.
Absolutely, yeah. And don't keep what you have secret. Might be the last principle we'd share about that. Like, if your party understands these are the types of spells I do, this is the theme I'm going for, it's easier to synergize. And also, I mean, with your DM, if your DM knows these are the types of spells I have, this is the kind of feel I'm looking for. Being a blaster caster is great, but if your party doesn't know you're a blaster caster, then they're always going to get in your way.
That's right. It's true. It's true. If you're trying to line up that fireball, your fire's jumping every single time.
Yeah.
Might not work. Yeah. Unless your guy's immune to fire. Then
actually, then it could.
Fireball all day long, guys. Go for it.
There's a dragon mask thing that makes it so that fire gives you hit points. And
oh, really?
I think so. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I think it's
I gotta look that up. That is cool.
It makes you immune to fire and you
Fireball
regain hit points
on yourself.
Dude, yeah.
Boo!
Put a berserker in the middle. Just keep throwing fireballs at it.
Oh, that'd be so great.
It'd be so fun.
Oh, that's excellent. I'm looking at that. That could be fun.
We should do a build on that.
New encounter against my party, guys. Death by fireball. This is how we're gonna do it. Anyways, although a couple things I'll point out too with spells, aside from how to pick spells, I'll just say, if you are playing a spellcaster, guys, learn your spells, right? Although we've all been there, I've done it myself. I'll say, especially when you have a clever DM who just totally flips the tables on you in the middle of combat.
He's got a fire aura. You can't use those three spells.
You got to rethink your strategy, but it's good to know what your spells do, so you know what could be good in the right situation, right? If you just have a cursory knowledge of it's called this, right? I think you're probably missing lots of opportunities, and if you actually read what the spell does. Also good to know what the spell does, just in case, when it comes up you actually want to use it, you can use it correctly. I know everybody thinks that DMs know everything, but they really don't. Yeah. And you don't have to know everything to be a DM. but it's good to know that, be mindful of what your spells do so that you can use them correctly, but also find new ways to use them as well, too. If you don't know that, then I don't think any of this will really work, honestly.
Fun pro tip for components, too. Be aware of what spells require components, what the components are. Yeah, knowing your shiz is a very, very important thing.
You don't want to be like, I have this spell, guys, and it requires mushroom powder, and that costs 25 gold. What?
That's not even expensive.
1,000 gold of ruby dust. What? Where's the rubies, guys?
You've got 5,000 gold in your inventory, and you're like, I can't use this spell because it requires 25 gold worth of time.
Right.
I needed to go do something.
That's from Fabricate Rocks. Need that jeweled dagger? Easy. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We're Motley Mimic. Catch you next time. Wait, you want to do what? No. That doesn't make any sense. That's not in the rules. You can't do that. Yes, I'm sure. I know it's not in the rules. Okay. I'll show you. Don't worry. It's just right here in the books. Don't worry. Let me just find the rule here. It's just gonna be right here on this page. It's just right. Oh, this is the wrong book. Let me see. 1 second. It's in this one. I promise. It won't take long, guys. Just give me a second. It's just right. Wait, what book is this? Oh, okay. Wait 1 second. It's just right. I promise. You can wait a second. It's not going to be that long to look up a rule. Come on. It's just going to be right on this. page. Oh, wait. Oh, it's the wrong one again. Seriously, you can't do that. I know you can't. It's just not in the rules, guys. I mean, seriously. Look, I'm the DM, and look, we follow the rules. It's just right. Oh, wait, no. It's right here. Okay, I promise. It's right. See, right there, guys. Page 291. It says you can't do that.